Buy yourself a gun. What? Gun. What? Like a handgun. For personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? One automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Gun?
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jack for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun. Before you wish you bought a gun. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
Riots in the streets and riots in the desert. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Primer Time. My name is Michael.
And I'm Dan. How you doing, Michael?
Not too bad, Dan. We got Cracker with us tonight. How you doing, Hal?
I'm doing just fine. How are you guys?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'd like to give a special warm welcome to the felons in New York.
Oh, that's
Welcome,
right.
welcome to Primer Time, where we are your source of illicit information in the SAFAC state.
How many
All
felons?
you people who, that's a lot. That's
How
quite
many-
a few.
How many became instant felons overnight, Michael? Do you know the number on that?
I believe, Dan, the number of instant felons in New York exceeds the number of enrollees for Obamacare.
I don't doubt that.
Not exactly sure, but that's just what my intel is giving me.
That's interesting.
They're creating
Makes you
new felons
wonder.
all the time.
Makes you wonder if you pass a law and nobody complies and nobody enforces it. I think all you've got is a governor in Albany banging his shoe on a desk. I will bury you.
And never fire a shot.
I tell you,
Christoph Cuomo.
it'd be interesting to see where the first shot's fired if something like that happens. You know, if they start going to try to confiscate firearms. I'm really interested to see what they do with these people.
I don't believe they have the numbers for that.
No, and
believe
they
you.
probably a lot of people would come to their aid too, I would imagine.
I don't believe they have the desire at the level that it takes to enforce that.
You know, they did something in Detroit. There's five dead home intruders in the past week, Michael. Detroit.
There's been 5 fatal shootings of home intruders in the past 14 days in Detroit. Since the chief of police of Detroit advised people, as the Gitmos in our opening song have advised people to buy a gun, people in Detroit have taken it a step further and they are using it in home defense. There have been 5 documented uses with a perpetrator attaining room temperature.
That is
Don't
awesome.
break into people's houses in Detroit.
That is awesome. It's about time, you know, people, and you know, that should catch fire and everybody else should realize that what's happening there too. I think they're trying to get open carry in Tennessee now, which I guess would make my, weapon carry permit null and void or needless to have one. If that's the case.
I believe it just becomes needless. I just believe you just stay on that list, but
Interesting.
I know that in Arizona, people who had you can still get a concealed weapons permit, even though there is with the state law. And some people, I guess, feel the need to involve extra bureaucracy in their life. I guess if that's your thing, whatever. Other people don't necessarily agree with that.
Actually, it's not a concealed. It's called a handgun carry permit. Is what it's called, Michael. And, we have reciprocity with all these states that call them concealed carry permits or whatever. Each state has their own rules about transporting firearms through their state, etc.
Well, each state has different rules for many things. There's different rules in what it takes to get the permit.
And some states make you wait when you purchase firearms. Isn't that correct? You don't get to walk out the door when you buy a firearm. There's a waiting period. So,
I'm not sure about that with a concealed carry permit. Usually,
with a concealed carry permit here, you can walk out the door with it when you buy it. If you don't have a concealed carry permit, there's a 3-day secret. When you have the concealed carry permit, they know you've already been checked out. If you don't have that and you buy a weapon, if there's a 3-day waiting period, and during that 3 days is when they do the checking, which only takes a little while for them to do. But that's the deal. If you got a concealed weapons permit here, you can go buy the gun and walk out the door with it. But if you don't, 3-day wait.
So when you buy that firearm, what's the cost of that 3-day waiting when you fill out your paperwork and have to wait? You have to pay them a fee for that, I'm sure, don't you?
Oh, I'm sure you do, but I've never bought one. I've had a couple people I've taken down there to do it, but I've never paid any attention to how much they charge them anyway.
You don't know what the fee is?
Nope.
How about you, Michael?
I wouldn't buy one. Any gun I buy would not be to a gun show.
Well, I know that here they won't actually make the call until they have the cash in their hand. After the paperwork is filled out and the cash is in their hand, that's when they make the call.
That's correct.
And by the call, I mean the call to the NCIS system, which is the telephone call.
Yeah, the $10 check.
And I don't know exactly. I've never seen anybody denied for it.
Surprisingly, Michael, we get denials at just about every gun show here lately. We've had a denial. And, this guy, this last gun show, the guy was there, well, back in 86, I had an assault against my wife, but hell, that was back in 86. Well, sorry there, buddy, it's unbelievable the people that try to get away with that nowadays. And I don't know, I think I told my friend, I said, we ought to just start calling cops and let them handle these guys that fill out these false forms here. It is against the law to do that.
If you apply on the form, absolutely.
How many cops do you think have beat their wives and still walk around with their gun in their pocket?
That's for damn sure.
That's for damn sure.
Well,
go over 2 counties and get another job.
Oh, that's right. A lot of them are mental cases, as we know that anyway. How most of them can't shoot very good either. They're terrible shots.
Well, you bring up the incidents of the culture at the gun show sort of changing, and maybe people have been to one, have not been to one. I like to go to one myself. I've worked on both sides. I've worked for me as a consumer, and then I've worked at a table as a vendor, and there's a lot to be seen at them. I think everybody should get to one if you've got the chance. We'd like to talk a little bit about what to expect at a show and how to prepare yourself for one.
And preparing to work one too, Michael. That's a lot of work to prep for a gun show. To work one, you got to tag all your guns, carry them in, set up your tables, all that, get ready, and then do your thing. It's there's a bit of work to it.
Well, firearms and firearms accessories are never light, and for some reason, it seems that people have a tendency to pack all the ammunition into one container. That's nice if it's sitting someplace and you don't have to move it, but that's not exactly how a gun show works. You have to move stuff from the back of a truck usually, or a trailer, and you have to put it on a cart. Hopefully you've brought a hand truck, or there's a cart available at the show. Some shows have some amenities for some of the vendors, like a hand truck or a four-wheel cart or something. Some of them don't. You're on your own.
Yeah, we usually have a cart where we can haul all the firearms in from the vehicles. And it works out pretty good that way, but there's a lot of work to it. But it is a lot of fun to go to a gun show.
And you have to have a minimum of 2 people to run a table.
Yep, and another thing I like about it, Michael, is if you're a vendor working at a show, you get to look at firearms early at other people's tables as they're setting up too. You know, that was always one of the benefits I enjoyed about it. You get to
there's a little bit of cherry picking. I've picked up something fairly nice at a very good price to me the day before a show. You know, the Friday after the setup when I'm taking that little walk through before we go out to go grab some dinner or something.
Exactly. You just have to ask the dealer, got any high powers or, you know, whatever you're looking for. And occasionally you find that nice firearm there.
The last one I found that really struck my fancy, and you might laugh, but I have that Jones for the mouse guns, and I found a Beretta 21A. And people might not know what that is. I like it. It's really nifty. It's small and it fits in places that a full size pistol or even a moderate concealed carry pistol wouldn't fit.
Describe that thing, Michael. It's very cool. It's got the pop up barrel, correct?
That's right. It's for people who don't know, it's a semi-automatic pistol. It is double action, which means that when you pull the trigger, it pulls the hammer back and then releases it. But it's got a nice little feature. Since it's a very tiny pistol, it fits well within the confines of my palm. With it being very small, it requires a serious spring on it. And in the traditional manner of charging a semi-automatic pistol, you take the slide backwards against that spring. Well, this has got a pretty stout spring and maybe kind of tough for some people.
Especially women, Michael.
Yeah, people with smaller hands. It could be somebody who's injured. It could be somebody who's just not that strong. But to facilitate with that, they've got a little barrel tip-up lever. So the barrel actually tips up, and you can drop a round right in there and close
snap
the
it back down, and you're good to go, right?
And it is double action, ready to go. It's got a safety. It's got a 7-shot magazine, so seven rounds of 22 plus 1 in the tip-up barrel makes 8 shots. It does work best with fast ammunition. I found once again the CCI Stinger to be superior in that.
You know, if you're thinking about buying a firearm for a lady, that's a good choice. It really is.
It's very easy to use.
Controllable.
And to be quite honest, it's fairly attractive for a small pistol. It's being an import. It's got a little bit of pizzazz to it. It's got nice grips. Usually the finish on them are quite nice. Usually,
so what kind of price are we looking at?
I've seen them at the upper end of these. There's a blued version, and Beretta has a stainless version, which is I correct myself there. Shouldn't call it a stainless. It's an alloy that resembles stainless. They call it inox, and those would be on the upper end. And I'd say that those run brand new, probably about $375. And I'd say the blued version, depending on which level of grips you got, would be anywhere between $300 and $350, which
now,
might be a little bit.
Taurus makes a copy of that firearm. Is that correct?
It's not an exact copy, but it's very similar. It's exact in the operation of it from the owner's side. The internals are a bit different. The mechanics to the pistol are just a tad different, but it operates in exactly the same way. I found those also to be ultra reliable. Once again, those like fast ammunition, and they come in probably about, I'd say $75 cheaper on average. They also make a polymer framed version that has a similar to the inox slide on it. I wasn't really a fan of the polymer framed version, so I do like the metal.
So you're talking about the Taurus, they make an inox copy with a plastic bottom on it?
Yeah, it's a plastic frame. It's a polymer frame. I don't know exactly what the polymer number is. It's fairly similar to a Glock type plastic. And it's basically the same pistol. It's a little bit, the polymer frame, owing to the weaknesses of the polymer versus, the strength of the steel. It's a little bit bigger in some areas, but it's still relatively pocket sized. And those go anywhere. I've seen them $250 to $300 on the upper end for the Taurus. And I believe theirs are PT-22, and they have a version just as Beretta has, in 25 ACP. I'm personally not a fan of 25 ACP. I think it's far too expensive. It costs the same as 9mm or more.
I think a 22 round will do just as much damage as a 25 round, possibly more. What do you think, Al?
I would prefer a 22 long rifle over a 25 any day of the week.
I'm going to have to agree with you.
I am not a fan of the 25 at all. To me, that's just junk. I'd much rather have a 22 long rifle. And you tell you what, you take a 22 long rifle hollow point, I guarantee you that will hurt. That's gonna mess somebody's day up. That little 25, nope, not a fan of them at all.
I don't believe it moves fast enough, and it doesn't carry enough weight. At a 25,
it's got no nothing to it. You shoot an orange with a 25, and then shoot an orange with a Stinger, and see if you see the difference.
Oh, absolutely. And beyond Stingers, there are some new interesting 22 out there if you can get your hands on it. Which, by the way, we didn't open with the traditional "Where's your 22 at?" due to our new felons in New York joining us. Once again, like to give a shout out to our people.
It's true, Michael. What about the 22 situation, long rifle situation in your area? Around here, there is no availability at the big box stores. You can just get it offline, I guess, for $70 a box.
Big box stores are out. If they've got it, they've got a small shipment that's usually picked up by the scalpers again. I will say that the local gun shops have them. They are completely overpriced. And once again, the scalpers are crazy. That same guy is on my local gun board, still selling it by the bucketful. And,
so this guy's making
he's
a
got
killing.
that stuff stolen.
He's making a killing.
Oh yeah. Right.
I don't really see it going down, Michael. Everything else has come back in order. I think Al was talking about, he saw where there's some AK-47 rounds for 25 cents a piece. And so that tells me that AK rounds are back anyway, and I know AR rounds are back. There's plentiful. 45s are plentiful. 9mm are plentiful.
I did see a lot of 9mm at the last Walmart I went to. It was pretty much as you wanted to buy. They had the 100-round bulk boxes of Winchester 115 grain full metal jacket. They had those quite readily available. I think they were $22.
All the ammo people that I've heard talking have all said that they're turning out ammo as fast as they can, but they're trying to turn out ammo that people are buying too. Not the 22s like the 9mm, the stuff we see coming back. So that kind of makes a little bit of sense. But where the 22 is, if people are hoarding 22 long rifles as heavy as if they're putting out as many as they were, which I don't think they are, but if they were, and people are still buying them up at that rate, do you realize how much 22 ammunition there must be laying around in people's closets?
Oh, that's a very interesting point. A lot of that ammo that has been laying around in people's closets is starting to surface. So this is an awareness that
For
people
how
should
long,
have.
Michael? How long has it been in their closets? You were telling me about some white box stuff.
I saw on my local board a guy had 4 bricks of Western Auto 22 long rifle, and it was Western Auto was a auto and hardware store that at one time also sold firearms and ammunition. They had Winchester Wildcat, I believe it was, had been rebranded and sold as Western Auto brand ammunition. Now, that stuff is 25 years old. Do you want to pay $75 for a 500 round brick of that?
That's amazing. 15 cents a round.
For a 22.
For 25-year-old 22.
Well, for any 22, 15 cents just sounds like, hello?
Oh, if I'm going to pay that, it's got to be that CCI green, that green match stuff. But I
like
don't.
CCI ammo.
I've got very little use for that because I don't shoot like that.
I like CCI ammo. It's a good clean ammo that doesn't dirty your firearm very much when you shoot it. You can shoot a lot of it.
I like the CCI ammo that comes in a in a plastic case. I've never really been a fan of CCI Blazer. I found that to be excessively dirty and one of the bulk ammos that I've had more failures with, it seems.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about the Blazer stuff, Michael. I'm talking about from Standard on up, to the Stingers.
Right. Anything that comes in a plastic box from CCI is usually really, really top-notch stuff.
Exactly. 100-round plastic box.
But the comparison and the difference between CCI and the reputation that the stuff in the plastic box has and the Blazer is, we all know, is really dirty stuff. I've seen in this ammo rush where somebody's selling a 500 round brick of it, and he refers to it as CCI premium bulk ammunition. And well, there's nothing premium about CCI Blazer.
So, Hal, when you're reloading, do you have? I'm sure you buy certain brands of gunpowder that's cleaner burning than others, or
yeah. There's all kinds of powder, and some burns cleaner than others.
So you pay for what you get in that department, I assume. Is that correct?
Well, it depends on what you're loading. Some guns there's like the Winchester 4, I think it's 428 or 478. It's made for the 308 rifles. And you could use it in a 30-06, but 30-06 would like a different kind of powder. It's all relative to what you're loading. Now they've got pistol powder called Bullseye, and it's been around for 100 years. But just like what you're saying, it's dirty. You shoot it. I mean, it's cheap, and you can load a whole bunch of stuff with it, and it shoots well. It'll shoot in a lot of different calibers for pistols, but it's dirty as hell. And you can buy some of the better, Vivatori, I think is the way it's pronounced. That's some of the cleaner powder. And they've come out with a powder for the 223s, the ARs, that if your barrel has got a lot of copper and stuff in it, once you shoot some of this ammo through it, it starts cleaning your barrel up. I saw pictures, shot before and after. They shot like 100 rounds through it, and it was actually cleaning the barrel back up. And I thought that was pretty amazing. And the more intricate a gun is, the less the better ammo. Like they take the old AK-47, you can shoot rocks through it just about. But there's plenty of clearance, and it's just a looser gun. But the cleanliness on a gun, you take somebody that's got a semi-automatic and they start shooting, and it's not shooting right. Usually, the reason it's not shooting right is
it's dirty.
It's dirty. Amen. It's dirty.
Well, I'll tell you what, we both know that Kalashnikov does not suffer from that disease. And anybody out there like to look for it, there's a video on YouTube called AK-47 and AR-15 versus Twinkies.
Twinkies, so they just cram Twinkies
let me give you it's not really a good video for us to play on air because it's mostly visual, but I'll just give you the gist of it. They take an AR-15 and an AK-47, and they take America's favorite snack cake, and they open them up. They take the magazine out, and they open up the action and lock it back, and proceed to shove Twinkie into the action. And then they shove as many Twinkies as they can into a loaded magazine, and then push the loaded magazine full of Twinkie into the loaded magazine well or action as it is, and let it go. Let it go.
That sounds like Chris Christie's gun.
I'll tell you what, the AK-47 ate Twinkies like a New Jersey governor, and Mr. Stoner's creation, well, it got 2 bites, and then it had to retire for the night.
Well, doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, the AK was screaming more Twinkies.
Yeah, and as an aside to that, there was a guy the same guy who did that, he did it with fruitcake.
Oh, well, you can just take a fruitcake and throw it, and it's fatal.
I thought that was sort of funny.
I think it's so cool you can just pull a AK right out of the mud and just dunk it down in some water and pull it out, and kaboom, it'll shoot. That is so neat. Not many rifles will do that.
Robust. And the prices on the AK-47 they're hovering at about, I say anywhere from $5.99 for a lower end imported one from CAI, which
Century Arms,
and you don't know exactly if it's a parts gun that's got an American-made receiver or if it's an actual import. The imports I know cost quite a bit more. One of their imports I like is a Polish one. It's called the Barrel Archer, and that's a pretty nifty one.
So those things are available you can order those, I guess, off of some websites online.
That's right, and have it shipped to your dealer and go through the FFL and the transfer fees and all that sort of stuff. But the lower end ones come in at about $549, and then I'm seeing up for the upper end ones up to $1,500. Now on the used market, the lower end AK-47s are going for $1,000 straight up. No deviation. Doesn't matter how old it is, what it is, it's going for $1,000.
$1,000. Wow. And where did you find ammo for a quarter round, Al?
It was a site that they send to me. I get several sites in my email. I don't know what the name of it is because I didn't write it down. But I sent it to Michael. He might have it. He can bring it up and post in the chat.
I'm stuck right here on this page. I tried to click over and it froze.
But it had a whole bunch of different.
I believe it was on the firearms blog was the website, and it looks like
the place that you went, like Freedom Ammo. Or something.
There was many different manufacturers and many different distributors,
and
some of Freedom. I believe that Freedom Ammo they are a manufacturer, and I've bought from them before. I did buy 500 rounds of 9mm from them, and it took, I want to say, 3 months for delivery. But in all fairness, it was at the height of the rush. But it was priced right. It wasn't. I didn't get robbed on the price. I just waited a long time.
That's cool. I just got one of the sites that I've seen. It was you could buy new ammo, you could buy reloaded ammo, and you could buy 500 and 1,000 bags. Bags of 5,000 lots of it, either cleaned and ready to reload, or cleaned and primed. And when you bought the cleaned and primed, the 500 of them that were cleaned and primed, with primers in them, they were only like $12 more per 500. And I started, $12 more for 500 already done. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And they were like 50 cents a piece, and they looked brand new. They were beautiful. They really did a nice job on them. The only thing I'd do if I was reloading those and I got them, I would check the overall length on them and then go from there. But they were definitely putting them out.
How much do primers cost now, Al? What's the cost?
Well, 1,000 of them different. 1,000 of them is like depending on the primer, $27 to $35, $40 for 1,000. But if you buy 5,000, you get them a little cheaper. And naturally, the more you buy, a little bit cheaper you get them. But
so you're looking at 27 cents. Okay, so you say 30-06, you're reloading 30-06,
right,
for example. So you're getting the primer for 27 cents. How much does the cartridge, the brass cartridge itself cost?
Well, if you got to buy it, these 500 of the 308s this guy was selling was like They wound up being like 50 cents a piece, a little less than 50 cents.
Oh, okay.
If you bought 1,000 of them, they went down to about maybe 35 cents a piece.
What I'm getting at is, or 308, for example. Well, what's the bottom dollar in reloading versus buying boxes at 308?
You'll save a little bit. I'd say you could do it for half price, maybe.
Half price.
Yep.
So
But
308 is about $1 a round approximately now.
Yeah, something like that.
So you
That's
get
just for
50
regular.
cents.
If you depends on the bullet you're putting in it.
That's right, because you can get bulk 308
cheap bullets
military surplus or military contract overrun for much cheaper than $1 a round.
Oh yeah, well full.
But that's not. But
bullets
that
are
is
cheap too.
that
If
is
you're
not
shooting if
right.
you're shooting a custom hunting bullet.
Yeah, this is not custom hunting ammo. This is not custom hunting ammo. This ammo goes bang.
Yeah.
It's just zombie ammo, I guess, right?
That's right. That's right. It's military. The closest way I could describe it is military surplus, although it's not surplus.
Well, there used to be a ton of that around. The military surplus ammunition and the once fired brass. You used to be able to buy that Lake City once fired brass. It's cheap, but not anymore.
We were talking about AKs also, and AKs like that Russian ammo, steel cased ammo, believe it or not. So that's a good deal for those. You agree with me, Michael? Or?
I like steel case ammo and in I don't mind it in semi-automatic pistols. I do not think it works well in AR-15s. I believe it works best in weapons designed for it.
I don't like that polymer coated stuff they have.
I hate that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's asking for trouble.
Well, I was able to purchase. I bought a box of Federal Guard Dog, which is a nickel case with a some sort of alloy mixed with nylon. And it's supposedly moving at 1,400 feet per second, and it's a 95 grain bullet in 9mm.
That's true.
And I think that might be the bullet design is it's not a hollow point, it's a flat point, but that bullet is designed to penetrate and then I guess mushroom, and not in a hollow point sense, but to like flatten out.
Knock a lung out, in other words, is what you're looking for.
Yeah, it looks like it puts a great big roadblock into where you're going.
That's...
I'm going to question out of the chat. How many times can you fire and reload brass?
I'm answering
Good question.
Right now. I've personally done it 5 or 6 times. When you're reloading brass, there's two things you got to take into consideration. First, if it's a pistol, most pistols, and unless it's some Wildcat pistol, most pistols have got a straight brass on it. So the brass goes straight and the bullet presses into it. So when you shoot it, it doesn't have a tendency to grow. And the other thing is if you don't overload it, you've got a minimum and a maximum that you go to. If you look in the book, it'll give you a minimum and maximum. They always tell you to go under the maximum when you first start out. And that's taken into consideration if you have a chronic to see how fast it's going. But you don't want to overload. Whatever that maximum load is, you don't want to go over that. When you do that, it's bad on the pistol and it's bad on the cases. When you're shooting a rifle bullet, the case goes down and then it's neck down and then it goes forward, kind of like a funnel for the bullet to go in. Well, when you're shooting one of those, there's a lot more chamber pressure there. So the brass has a tendency every time you shoot it to grow. It pushes it towards the end of the barrel a little bit. So if you say you got it'll grow 15 thousandths, 16 thousandths when you shoot it. So you have to measure that, and then they've got a mill that you can trim it off with, a little lathe that cuts it back to make it the right length. But once again, if you don't overload it, you can and leaving it in the cleaner. When you put it in there, you want to get it cleaned up and looking good. But the more you polish it, the thinner it gets. So what I do is I'll usually reload something. I've reloaded ammo 5 and 6 times, never had a problem with it. But I always check it for cracks every time you shoot it. You want to look for cracks around the necks of it, and just something wrong with it. And like in the side of it, if it's got a little bitty nick in the side of it, a lot of semi-automatics when you shoot them sometimes when it flips them out, it can put a little nick in the side of the case. That little
the
nick
ejector leaves a little mark.
That little nick doesn't hurt anything. No, it can be up on the case if it hits something coming out. But it won't. That doesn't hurt a thing. When you shoot it again, 9 times out of 10, it just pushes it right back out. So it's not like that's a defective case. That's what I'm trying to say. When you fire it, if there's a little thing there, 55,000 pounds is going to make it. It's going to bring it right out like it was. But some purists would say that doesn't work. But I'll tell you what, I've shot a ton of them, never had a problem with it. What I look for mainly is cracks, because the stuff will crack after a while. Around the neck of it especially. If it's got a crack in it, then I throw it away. And
what's the market for used brass like?
Well, I used to be able to buy a lot of used brass, and now there's places that are coming back with it. That was one of the sites that I had shown you. That was a place that did have used brass. They also sold new ammo, and they sold reloaded ammo. And that was the one that had the reloaded ammo you could buy, or the brass you could buy primers in it or not primers in it. And for the $11 or $12 more for 500 of them, already primed. Now I don't know what kind of primer we did. Yeah, I just got the thing today, so I haven't had time to check it out. But that doesn't sound like a bad deal. It takes time to do every bit of it.
So they're ready to put the powder in, and
they're ready to put. Well, the only thing I would do to that, Dan, is like I said, I'd measure the overall length of it.
Oh,
Pistol's not so important, but yeah, measure because if it's too long, when you go to push it to load it, it might load fine, but if it's too long and it won't load fine, then it's not going to seat deep enough in the chamber. So you have to know what's going on there.
And if it's not loaded fine, and at that point you can have a case rupture or even worse, right?
Usually, but usually what's going to happen is the primer is down below. The primer is down below the head of the thing. So when it goes in, it's going to go in and try to push it in. And if it doesn't go in, you can just pull it out and it'll flip it, and then the next one will go in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, it's not something you won't happen. But if you pay attention and if you don't make it too long, if you pay attention to what you're supposed to do, the stuff will shoot fine. If you get in a hurry and you don't, reloading isn't something you should do anyway. You need to take reloading seriously because you are dealing with things that'll blow up.
Well, safety is paramount, and
with anything to do with a gun, safety.
That's right, and that brings us to the 4 rules of safety.
Yeah,
we believe in these. We hope that you take them to heart and you practice them when you're around firearms, and you practice them 24/7 because you may not know where they're at.
You're exactly right, Michael. And that first one is you always treat a firearm as if it's loaded, period. When someone hands you one, you inspect it visually. You look at it and make sure that there's not a bullet in that firearm. Then that way there's no way you can have an accident.
That's it.
Plain and simple.
If it's a semi-automatic, pull the slide back, eject the magazine, look right in the chamber.
Yeah.
If it's a revolver, swing that cylinder open and look right at it. You should be able to see ground.
Yep.
If it's a single shot pistol, whether it's a bolt action or a break open, pop it open. Take a look at it. If it's got a magazine, take that magazine out. Make sure you verify. Don't become a quotable statistic.
And at the same time you're doing this, you need to be using the rule number 2, Michael, which is?
Dan, know what your target is.
Know what your target is and your muzzle direction.
That's right.
You gotta know your muzzle direction. That's our number 2. And number 3 is know your target and what's around it. And, what's beside of it and what's behind it, because you're not going to hit your target every time. And, the number 4 rule, and the most important one I see broken by nearly everyone. All rookies break this rule. And what is that, Michael?
Dan, it's probably the most important one. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your booger hook off the bang switch until you are ready to discharge that weapon. The pistol, the rifle, the shotgun does not just go off. There are no accidental shootings. There are negligent firings. Please keep your finger outside of the trigger guard until you're ready to discharge the weapon.
Yep. I see it all the time. It's incredible. I'm sure you see it too, don't you, Hal? You see it at the ranges?
Oh, yeah, you sure do.
Can you tell me you like to shoot at the range?
Oh, yeah, I love to go out to the range. The range I go out to is an old one, and it's an outdoor range. They've got a place. One section's over there where they shoot shotguns. Then the place where I go to is a place they shoot rifles and pistols. And over on the right they shoot the pistols, and over on the left they shoot the rifles. And this range also has a wheelchair accessible. So one of my friends I take out there, he's messed up. He's in a wheelchair, so I carry him out there and we can go down. And they've got a place where he can roll right up there in his wheelchair and set up his stuff and shoot right from there. They got a 50 yards and 100 yards, and then on the pistol they got like a 25 feet, 50 feet, and 75 feet. They got 3 different places out there. You shoot at a paper target. The only thing they'll let you shoot at is a paper target, because they got a big berm out there that you're shooting against, because it's close to town. But they've got as you're shooting, the first 3 or 4 sections you're shooting under, and they've got an aqueduct built across the top, and it's full of dirt. So even if you shoot high, it's going to hit that and it's not going to go through. But I've never seen, all the times I've been out there, I've never seen anybody shoot it. So all the bullets have been down. But you shoot a paper target. You just go out there, and every 15 minutes they ring a bell. Everybody puts their gun down, opens to action with it unloaded, lays the gun down, and steps back away from the line. And then until the bell rings again, you stay away from your gun. That way nobody can pick a gun up while people are downrange. And then they give you a few minutes to go downrange and change your targets, set new targets up, do whatever you're going to do, and then come back. The bell rings again, and then you got 15 more minutes that you can shoot. It's a really nice way to do it. But I really like an outdoor range. Going to an indoor range I've done it, but I much prefer going to the one I go to.
What about rifles?
I'm an outdoor guy, man.
What kind of distance can you shoot rifles there at that outdoor range?
They got, there's the one I go to is 100 yards. They've got one over in St. Pete that is 200 and 300 yards.
Okay, I love that range, 200 and 300. I prefer that. 100 yards gets kind of boring. If you have a nice firearm and putting it on a rest, it's sort of like shooting ducks on a pond to me. It gets, this is wasting ammo.
Practice is never a waste of ammo.
I love.
What you're saying, but
Don't get me wrong. I love bench shooting.
You put them all on the bullseye at 100 yards, 300 yards. Something's going to get hurt there too.
I love bench shooting, Al. I always have. I've been a member of several different gun clubs, gun and fish clubs. But
one thing you're going to do if you're going to bench shoot, that's what most of the guys out there do is bench shoot. But if you're going to hunt, if you're actually going to be real world hunting, you need to be able to shoot without the bench too. And
exactly.
I see most of the people I see never get their ass up off that bench and hold that rifle and shoot it. And,
I like to get in the prone position. When I always go to the range, I always get down in the prone position, kneel in position.
Well, I'll tell you what, those shooting sticks they got work pretty good too. There's just like the extendable thing that's got a Y on it. You put your gun on to shoot. I see a lot of people carrying them, and they definitely work.
Now that I live out in the country, I can just step outside my back door, and I've got one of those spinner targets for 22 set up about 40 yards away.
Oh man, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I tell you, it's not an easy shot to hit that little 2-inch square from 40. It's harder than you think it is. I can hit it at least 1 out of 10 times. But you gotta remember, I can't see. Now I can take a rifle or any other thing and hit the thing very consistently. But
well, you need an 870 with a 28-inch barrel and a full choke. You hit it every time.
Every time. Yep, you're right.
Ain't no doubt about it. You guys seen the things they put in the end of a shotgun barrel that shoots a pattern? Like you know, they got it like a spray paint that you can take and spray, and it'll put a fan going sideways or one going straight up and down. Have you seen the thing that screws in the end of a barrel of a shotgun?
I've seen a duckbill like that, yeah.
Oh, man, I saw that thing. I said, shit, look at this.
Yeah, it gives like a a 4-foot spread at like 12 feet or something like that.
Are you
Man,
kidding
they were
me?
knocking.
That is,
They were, I would say this thing was 40 or 50 feet out there at least, and he was shooting at targets, and he was taking 6 or 7 of those targets at a time, and two man-sized silhouette targets sitting out there. He shot it without it, then he shot it with it, and it covered both targets chest level.
it sounds like something perfect for the woman that's never shot a firearm before.
You
If
ain't
she
kidding.
has to grab a shotgun and have that.
That was a
thing
game
there.
changer.
That is a game changer because
Yes, sir.
sure you can't miss that way. People don't realize up close with a shotgun the pattern's still pretty tight with those things,
Yeah,
and you can miss with a shotgun up close.
Yeah,
Well,
but
and part of the
shoot
best
at
use
somebody-
of a
if you shoot at
shotgun
somebody in
is
your living room with a shotgun, they're going to be leaving. They're not going to be running at you.
Well, if you hit them with enough pellets, that's true. What were you saying,
part of
Michael?
that is picking the appropriate round for a shotgun, and part of that is looking at your circumstances. Are you in an apartment with really thin drywall?
Drywall, yeah, because the
And
drywall
you don't-
only pull a bullet down.
No. So, honestly, birdshot that's for shooting birds.
Yeah, you want turkey shot better, I assume. Is that correct?
I would say
Turkey
turkey shot.
That'd kill you. That'd kill anything inside of a house.
But spreading
Inside
out,
of an
like y'all
apartment.
are talking about, say it spreads out in a pattern very quickly, correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of that turkey shot's pretty heavy duty load too. That ain't a 7.5 bird shot there. When you start actually buying shots for turkey, that's a good load.
Yeah, they're high power. They'll kick your shoulder
Exactly.
pretty good. I've noticed that.
Well, we can never understate the value of a good shotgun, whether it be 410, 20 gauge, or 12 gauge, which I think are the calibers that, as consumers, we should probably concentrate on, even though there are a few other different gauges for them, because that is the available ammunition. And, it doesn't do you any good to have a really fancy shotgun that you can't have.
That's
Any
true.
ammo.
And, a 20 gauge is a nice gauge to have. And Hal was telling me about some new ammo. What is that, Hal?
Yeah, they were slugs, and they were. We was talking about the 20 gauge and the distance. I was talking about you buy a 12 gauge and shoot so far. You buy a 20 gauge, and I've seen, with a slug barrel on it, they would hold 3-inch groups at 200 yards, that's pretty good for a slug. That's good.
That's unreal.
They got some slugs now that are over 2,000 feet per second for a 20 gauge. I mean, like 21 and change. That's cooking, brother.
So
For a
that's,
big old piece of lead like that, that's getting the job done. I don't know I haven't seen no accuracy
so
statistics
pop your
on it.
shoulder pretty good, I would imagine. Even for
Well, they
20
would
gauge.
think about the deer, the turkey, or the deer, or the hog that it hit. Pop him pretty good too.
Yeah, that's
Be like hitting with a truck.
that's unreal.
That's a big old chunk of lead.
And
And that may not be appropriate for apartment 311 in the 5,000.
No, that probably wouldn't be. That you wouldn't use that inside your living room. That'd be a little bit heavy, Mike.
now down in Florida, didn't they pass a deal where you can carry firearms during unrest or something like that, Hal?
Yeah, they were. There's a bill on the governor's desk right now, and there's some of the sheriffs are just basically remaining silent on it. And one that's in charge of the Sheriff's Association here in the state, he's jumping through his ass about it. He don't like it at all. It's suicide. And then the sheriff, I've told you guys about the police state that I live in here. The sheriff over here in Pinellas County, he's vehemently against it. That'd be the stupidest thing that they could possibly do. And what it is during times of, it's worded, if there's a hurricane coming through and you have to evacuate your house, or if there's anything, tornadoes tear stuff up, and even the word riot is in there. If there's riots and you have to vacate your premises, that when it's declared that's what's happening, then the need for a concealed carry permit is gone, and you can take your weapons in your car wherever you're going to go and arm yourself. Well, the sheriffs don't think that's a good idea. And I think it's an excellent idea. I mean, if I was if I was going someplace like that, you can rest assured I would be armed when I got in the car, period. And I don't understand. You know, we got the gun lovers and we got the anti-gunners. And I've seen in my lifetime, when I was a kid growing up, we've talked about this before. There was guns everywhere. Every house that I went to had guns in it. I knew where the guns were. Every kid that was there knew where the guns were. We used to take our guns, walk down the railroad tracks and shoot dove and shoot rabbit or anything else. And none of us ever even considered shooting each other. So that's just not what happened. So,
an armed society is a polite society.
So
like
when they started all this nonsense, look what's happened now. Look where we are now. We've got school shootings going on. We got people shooting at people driving down the interstate. We got all kind of crazy shit going on. But I think it has been bred into society. It's been taught something is wrong, and it's not the gun owners that's what's wrong with what's happened. It's what society has turned out for humans that's what's wrong. Because like I said, when I was a kid, that didn't happen. You didn't do any of that. And you know, it really gets me. I'm passionate about it. It really gets under my skin. And then when I see these cops, they, you know, just like what we were talking before the show, they were saying, you know, well, yeah, you know, that's not right, blah, blah. Well, it ain't right. But how many cops have we heard about that beat the hell out of their old lady or beat the hell out of a bunch of people or police brutality and all this other shit? How many of those guys are still walking out there with a gun in their hand or with a gun on their side or with a gun in their car or with a concealed weapon all the time? All of them are. So, you know, I mean, what's the deal here? I'm an American citizen, and they can kiss my royal ass. I will carry my gun with me. I will keep myself armed until they shoot me at my freaking front door.
Well, don't let that happen if you can, Hal. We want to keep
I won't, but I guarantee you one thing. If I have to take a dirt nap for that, I don't plan on traveling on that bus alone.
You know, that reminds me that I want to talk a minute about that FN57 unit. We're going to call that the firearm of the week, and it's an expensive firearm. You can purchase one for around $1,500, and you just had a friend
Maybe
that bought
we should
one
call
now.
it the fantasy firearm of the week.
The fantasy firearm. That's a better one for it. Fantasy firearms.
That thing shoots a 5.7 by 28? Is that correct?
A 5.7 by 28 millimeter, and it shoots it at 2,130 feet per second.
So it's zipping. It's they call them armor penetrating rounds.
Yeah, that's almost as fast as that slug I was telling you about.
That's
amazing, isn't it?
And you got those firearms also. They have 20 round magazines. That's correct, isn't it?
I think so. They got bigger ones than that. Oh, for that pistol, yeah.
Yeah, for the pistol.
That rifle, the rifle we was talking about had a lot more.
Now, what's the rifle? I'm not really familiar with the rifle.
Michael knew what it was. What is the name of the rifle, Mike?
It's the FNP90, and it's I think it's kind of nifty, and I wouldn't mind having one.
It's futuristic looking as hell.
It's a spaceship, and I'll tell you what, FN's a kind of a nifty company. They make some nifty stuff. They have a rifle in 223 that looks, I swear to God, the thing looks like a spaceship. It's the FS2000. That's a nifty rifle. But the P90 is the one that shoots that 5.7 round, and
that thing's got a magazine on top of it, a flat magazine on top of it.
That's right.
It's like 50 rounds or something like that.
I believe that I've seen a 100 round magazine for that as well.
So they also make 100 round, and it snaps right on top of the firearm. It's like integral to the firearm.
The one I seen that this guy had, he had a clear plastic magazine on it. Clear plastic. You can see all the ammo in it.
Oh, it'd be a nice one to show your friends and say, look what I got, but I don't know if I'd want to shoot it too much. What's the price of ammo on that thing?
Too much for me. And the availability of it. I mean, you know, it's not a common round. I mean, it might sound impressive on paper and it might look cool, but you know, if you can't buy ammo for it, it ain't nothing but a bat.
Well, and not only that, there's considerations to be made because neither the pistol nor the rifle are inexpensive.
No,
they're quite pricey, so it's an investment. And if you violate the terms of the warranty, which means you can only use FN branded ammo. If you use any other ammo and there's some sort of malfunction, the warranty is null and void, and you ate that. Which is kind of odd because the FN branded ammo is actually made by Fiocchi. You cannot use Fiocchi's ammo branded by Fiocchi in it. You can't use PMC's or anybody else's ammo. American Eagle, I believe, makes it. You can only use the FN branded ammo per the warranty. And they want lot numbers and all this kind of stuff.
And a box of that is how much? What's it going for over here?
I've seen the cheap Plinker stuff for $35 a box of 50.
What's the armor piercing stuff for?
The armor piercing stuff for that is $4 a round, so you're at $200 for a box of 50.
$4 a round.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And you know what? How much armor would that pierce? I mean,
it'll go through
40 grain bullet. What's it? How much would it really go? You don't have no.
I believe it says it goes through a 75 layers of Kevlar, and it'll penetrate I think it's a level 3 plate, a level 3 trauma plate or something. It'll penetrate a trauma plate. The armor piercing version will. I mean, it moves at 2,400 feet per second or something like that.
Yeah, well, a 30-06 with a steel bullet in, it'll go through almost 3/4 of an inch of steel. Did you know that?
That's the black tip bullets, correct, Hal?
That's a steel core bullet. I seen a demonstration of that, and it would some of them went through, some of them almost went through, but 3/4 of an inch piece of steel, that's a substantial piece of metal.
Sure is. That's a lot of energy.
You'd go through a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch piece of metal and kill anything on the other side of it.
That's why the 30-06 is powerful round. You know, it's a great hunting round.
You what? Yeah, that's a get her done round there, buddy.
It's much more so than the 308 or the NATO round.
And it's 1 million years old. Been around for a long time.
Sort of like that 45 I have that's produced in 1918 that still shoots bullseyes.
That's right, exactly.
It's amazing.
Like 45, same thing.
I've got a 1961 high power that is amazingly accurate. And a 1944 high power that's amazingly accurate.
Always said that the high power was Browning's improvement on the 1911.
I really can't gush about a high power enough. Nothing fits my hand like it. It's like it was made for my hand.
BMG's been around for a while, huh?
That's a big old boy right there.
That's a big old boy right there. You know,
671 grains of truth, I believe.
That's 671 grains to start with. They got them bigger than that.
Oh, yeah, they've got them bigger than that.
Oh, man.
671 grains for the budget-minded, rock thrower.
Budget-minded 50 caliber, huh?
661, but who's counting, Michael? It doesn't matter. What's the extra 10 grains there?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, those things, it's amazing. You know, you're talking about a 1,000-yard shot, easy with those once you get them dialed in. The first Marine Corps rifles they had were big old bolt action deals. That was a big weapon, a big heavy weapon. And they used to shoot some pretty good distance with that, and that was Stone Age compared to what they have today. And look at the optics that they've got today to go with them. It's amazing. Yeah, the optics normally cost more than the firearm does nowadays. If you get some good quality optics.
Ain't cheap.
But, you know, you can still, for $100, you can get a pretty nice scope to put on a rifle for $100. So, I'm not going to knock it.
Expensive Nikon, and it shoots really well.
But, you know, with this hour just flies by. We've done shot an hour away, believe it or not. And, I'd like to give my shout outs to Nick and the guys over there. You know, you guys stay safe, come home.
Absolutely.
Hal, thanks for being with us. And, Michael, I'll give you the last word.
I'd like to thank you guys for being here. I'd like to give a big shout out to Jules. Thank you, UCY.TV. Nick, my brother, man. Hope you get home. Everybody, thank you very much. Stay tuned. Primer Chicks. Prepper Chicks After Dark. You guys have a good night.
Primer Chicks, yeah.
Whatever.